head, but you can't. It keeps running and running and running in your head, but you get tired of it. But chanting Krishna's names are very different. You can chant them so many times. Many of us have been chanting it for years. Of it, we come together more. So this shows us this evidence that spiritual vibrations are very important. And I'll tell you another thing that's important. When as parents you start chanting Krishna's names at home, you will find that they have a very great impact on the children. Children by nature become very attracted to Krishna because his pastimes are very pleasing. And whenever they hear any stories of Krishna, they become very happy actually. The reason is simple. Krishna's stories are not beautiful behaving like a little boy, but more importantly, Krishna is known in all our scriptures as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is something. And Krishna's greatness is in the fact that he's so powerful, and yet he can appear as a little boy, barely a few years old, in Vrindavan Dham, and he agreed himself to be tied to the mota by his mother. And that is quite amazing. Because Krishna is so powerful, if you read a very famous scripture known as Mukunda Mala Stotra, it is chanted by King Kulashekar Alva, one of the great Alvas. He talks about Krishna's strength, and it's important we understand Krishna's strength before we start the pastime, because then it will make us understand how great and merciful Krishna is. Prithvi Renuranur Payamsi Kanikaha Falgus Pulagus Tejo Nishvasvanam Maruttanutaram Randram Sushukshmam Nabaha Shudra Rudra Pita Mahaprabhitaha Kita Samasta Suraha Drishti Yatra Satarako Vijayate Shripada Dhuli Kanaha. So this entire prayer is chanted by Kulashekar Alva in Mukunda Mala Stotra, and the meaning is very nice. He says that Krishna, you are so powerful that even though you appear as a little boy, very few people understand your greatness and your power. He says Krishna is so powerful that this entire vast earth world in front of Krishna as the creator is nothing more than a speck of dust. Prithvi is earth, Renu is like a dust, very small in front of Krishna. Then he says all the great fires of this world, no matter how big a fire of destruction in the end, if you compare it to Krishna, it becomes like what we call a spark, very small, nothing in front of Krishna. Then he says all the great waters of the world, the oceans are full of water, very powerful. But in front of Krishna, water, the oceans, they look like droplets in front of Krishna. And then all the winds that are very powerful, they're like cyclones and typhoons and everything else. In front of Krishna, they're nothing more than a sigh. You know when you sigh, it's nothing, nothing. So even though the winds are very powerful, Kulashekar Alva says in front of Krishna, it is like a sigh before him. And then he says the air in front of us, across the entire universe. But in front of Krishna, it is not. It means nothing in front of Krishna. Then he says all the great devatas, Rudra, Brahma, they all bow before Krishna. They see his greatness. Then he says the other devatas like Indra and Chandra and Surya, they are like Kitaha Samasta Suraha. Sura means devatas, Kita means insects. In front of Krishna, because he has created them, they appear like insects. And then he ends by saying that all we have to do is just fall at your lotus feet and take shelter. Because this entire elements of this world in front of you, Krishna, are like a speck of a dust at your lotus feet. And anyone who takes shelter of your lotus feet, they'll be protected from all these powerful elements of the world. So this is a very beautiful. Mother has caught him And Bhagavatam tells us that he was shaking when his mother caught him. So this pastime is so wonderful because even though Krishna is so powerful, he has the capacity to come into this world and to be just like a little boy before his devotees. So on Diwali day, Bhagavatam tells us that Mother Yashoda woke up in the morning early and Krishna was asleep because he was a child. And Mother Yashoda thought, now that Krishna is asleep, it's a good time for me to make some butter. So she brought that utkal, you see the mota there? And she started churning butter. As she started churning butter, there was a lot of effort being put in churning the butter. It's not easy. Today you can buy butter from cold storage or NTUC. So you just go and buy if you don't have something. But those days you cannot. So Mother Yashoda, she had to make butter. But the beautiful thing is, as she was making butter, she wore new clothes, everything. But she made butter for Krishna. Because for her, more important than her new Diwali, more important than anything, was the object of her affection, Krishna. This is the mark of a devotee. We may have so many things in our lives, but the most important thing should always be Krishna. Bhagavatam tells us that our house, our TVs, our clocks, everything we have, our cars, our jobs, they are all like zeros. Because eventually they must leave us. Nothing stays with us. Even this sharir, this body will also leave us. So nothing actually belongs to us. But if you put Krishna in front, then Krishna is number one. If you put 1 in front of 0, then it becomes 10. It has value. But if you have 10 zeros, 100 zeros, million zeros, but no 1, it's still 0. It's still 0. So from that Yashoda was so special because for her, they free their time for Krishna. You have freed your time. 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday, not a very good time for people to come together. People tend to sleep on weekends, But you're here because you're doing it for Krishna. So you have 1 and you have many zeros and they have value. So that's what Mother Yashoda did. She woke up in the morning and she churned butter for Krishna. It didn't matter that it was tiring. She was perspiring, right? Her sari, well tied in the morning, became a bit, Bhagavatam tells us that she had flowers in her hair because she was churning. But she was not disturbed. She was not angry. She was not upset. Why do I have to do so much work on Diwali day? No. In fact, Bhagavatam tells us she was happy. She was smiling. Why? Because as she was churning, she was remembering Krishna. So any activity that we do, if we remember Krishna, and even if it is tiring, we don't feel tired because it is Krishna. And so she was just churning and churning butter and remembering Krishna. And the moment she remembered Krishna, Krishna woke up. And when he woke up in the room, he came out. And because he was very small, he couldn't speak so well. So like babies, if they want something from their mother, they would go and pull, isn't it? So he pulled at sari also. And what did he say? He indicated to his mother that he was hungry, that he wanted to have some milk. See, this is an important point. Very often we say that we should take darshan of Krishna. And darshan means that we see Krishna. But our sastras tell us more important than seeing is actually hearing about Krishna. Shravanam. Shravanam is very important. Because when you hear about Krishna, then Bhagavatam tells us that Krishna will actually enter through the holes of your ear and settle into your heart. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita This is a Bhagavatam verse. So it tells us that those devotees who are 100% engaged in Krishna's service, like Mother Yashoda, they can see Krishna in their heart. They can see Krishna in their hearts when they hear about him. So when Mother Yashoda was churning, she was smiling, but she was also doing something else. She was repeating to herself all the pastimes of Krishna. What Krishna did do before, and she was chanting it loudly, like a prayer. And because she was chanting it loudly, she could hear it. For example, if you chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, chant it very softly. For 5 minutes, your mind, you can't hear the mantra. But very loudly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You'll find automatically, even if your mind is running, just by the volume of your voice and hearing, the mind is captured. You remember when we were in school, we would all be talking between change of lessons, and the teacher would come in and he or she would talk, but no one would hear, and they would shout. And then everyone would hear. And I'm sure you do it with your children also, isn't it? Sometimes sweet words, nothing works. But suddenly one raise in the voice, then everything works. Because they hear. So that's why when we chant Krishna's names, don't chant it in the sense that you're mumbling. When you mumble, your mind cannot hear. The mind will run. It will run. It is nature of mind. The nature of mind is not to remember Krishna. The nature of the Atma is to always remember Krishna. Please remember that. Your mind will always tell you the things that are favorable in such a way that you don't spend time too much in spiritual life. It will tell you you are just 45 years old. Your children are very young. You better earn well. When you get your CPF withdrawal, when your bank balance is good, when everyone is fine, then I will sit down and I will do some bhakti. That's what your mind will tell you. This is not the time for bhakti. But we don't realize that we are creatures of habit. At 65 years old, if you want to become sadhu and all your life you've been a technocrat, it's not going to happen. It just doesn't happen. It has to be a lifestyle. And that's why I'm so happy to see the children. Because when you start the children young by hearing about Krishna, believe me, by the time they grow old, wherever they are, they will remember Krishna. You don't have to tell them. Automatically they will remember. Why? Because they saw their parents doing it. They saw. Children, they see and they observe. Sometimes, we don't realize. We tell our children, you should chant, chant. They say, you are watching more TV than chanting. Then you realize, oh, they're really watching us. Huh? And how can you tell them to chant when you're not chanting? There's no adhikar, as we say in Sanskrit, no adhikar. So Mother Yashoda heard Krishna's names. She heard about Krishna's pastimes. She repeated them. And therefore, she could see Krishna because he came out to give darshan to her. You see the sequence? Such a beautiful sequence. And it's only one part of the pastime. Nothing else has happened. She was just churning. But there's so much to it. So Mother Yashoda sees Krishna. Krishna comes. He says, he indicates to her he wants to be fed. And he indicates to her she should stop everything now and pay attention to him. Of course, Mother Yashoda wants to do that. So what does she do? She puts Krishna on her lap and she feeds him. As she's feeding him, she's so happy. Because her son is with her, the object of her affection, and she's just smiling and smiling and smiling. And while she's smiling and watching him, suddenly she realizes that the milk that she had put in the kitchen on the pot for boiling was going to overboil. And that milk was meant for Krishna. So now she was in a bit of a dilemma. If she puts Krishna down, he isn't fully fed. And mothers, if your children are not fully fed and you put them down, they get very grumpy and they get very angry. But the milk was meant for Krishna. She had to save it. So Mother Yashoda thought, let me go and save the milk, and hopefully when I come back, Krishna will still be here. So what happens is she goes in the kitchen. Meantime, Krishna is put on the floor. Now Krishna becomes upset because Krishna is playing the role of a child. So he doesn't have to play like he's God's role. If he plays the role that he really is, if he's really playing the role of Krishna as the supreme creator, whether Mother Yashoda puts him down or not, he will just remain peaceful. Because Krishna's nature is, he's samam prashantam. That means he's fully satisfied. He doesn't need mother's milk to satisfy him. But he's playing a role. And he's playing the perfect role, perfect child. So in this role, he must... So if children are naughty, and most children at least at some point are naughty, otherwise they're not children. So he became like a naughty boy. He decided to throw a tantrum. What did he do? There was a butter pot that Mother Yashoda was making. He kicked it very hard. And he's Krishna. You don't go and kick butter pots. Your legs will break very hard. But Krishna is very powerful. When he kicked it, the pot broke. And the butter spilled out. Now Krishna was angry. But now when he broke it, he became scared. Children have done that, isn't it? They do something, then later they get very scared because they know father and mother are going to be very angry. She's smiling like she knows, huh? Yeah. So he also knew now. Now I'm going to be in trouble. So what does he do? He decides to run away. Mother Yashoda comes out thinking, better come back and feed Krishna. But no one is there. The place looks like a crime scene. Why? Because her pot is spilled all over, broken, and there's butter everywhere. So she's wondering, where is Krishna? But Mother Yashoda is not angry. Bhagavatam tells us Mother Yashoda was smiling because she was thinking, my son Krishna, he's very intelligent. You know, when you love your child very much, no matter what they do, they are very good. They are very intelligent. They are very smart. This is the mood of Mother Yashoda. She could see nothing but good in Krishna. But he's very intelligent because he knows I will get angry with him. So he has run away. But I have to discipline this boy. Because what's happening is Krishna had a problem. Krishna was going to everybody's house to steal butter when his mother made the best butter. Krishna wouldn't eat in his house. He would go to everybody else's house and eat. Imagine now, parents, you make nice food for your children. They go to neighbor's house every day and eat. After a while, you will lose your self-esteem. You will lose confidence. You'll be thinking, what's wrong with me? So Mother Yashoda was thinking, this is a very unpalatable situation. And she thought, if Krishna goes on doing this, at least if the child knocks on the door and he goes to neighbors and eat, that's something. He doesn't knock on anyone's door. He steals. He's a thief. So Mother Yashoda thought, at this rate, if he grows up, he'll become a juvenile delinquent, isn't it? And he'll be in trouble. So Mother Yashoda was a pure devotee. And in a pure devotee's heart, there is nothing but Krishna. Her whole heart, she had no material desire. No idea that today is Diwali day, I should sit back, relax, I should eat all them sweet meats, nothing. Her mind was absorbed in Krishna. And that is the mood that we... So she takes a stick, okay? And she carries the stick with her. She goes inside to where Krishna is. And Krishna is in this big room where so many butter pots are kept. They are kept very high because they all know that Krishna steals. But this time Krishna is very smart. That mota at the back there, he sits on it. And Mother Yashoda realized by standing on it, he could have got all the butter. And in fact, when she walked in, she saw an amazing sight. She saw Krishna seated like a king. All the butter, was around him. Butter pots were broken. And he was feeding his good friends. And his good friends were the monkeys of Vrindavan. If you've gone to Vrindavan, you see a lot of monkeys. Some of them are as big as you, And they are very powerful and they are very strong and they are very fast. If you wear glasses and you walk to Vrindavan, before you know it, the monkey will pick up your glass. And then you have to bargain with the monkey to get the glass back. Very difficult. The last time I went to Vrindavan, I brought 4 sets of glasses, just in case, Yeah, but I survived. Very fast, very, very fast. When my mother went, a monkey got down on her. It was about this big. It got on her shoulder. She didn't even realize it was on the shoulder. Turned around, picked it up and went up. My mother looked at me and said, you know what, I can't really see you properly. That's when she realized the glasses were off. They are professionals, okay? And that's the same thing that they were there. When Mother Yashoda was seeing, Krishna was with the monkeys in Vrindavan. And he was feeding them, they were talking to him, he was talking to them. Obviously, he understood monkey language, right? And they were very happy together. The thing is, whenever people read this part of the Leela, they think it's just Krishna playing with his friends. But there's a deeper point to it. These monkeys in Vrindavan are not ordinary. Shastras tell us that they were the same monkeys who served the Lord in his pastime as Lord Ram. In Ram Leela, all the Vanaras, Sugriva, Angada, Hanumanji, and so many others, they served Lord Ram. And when he killed Ravana and he was going to come back, he asked them, you have served me so well. Ask of me anything you want and I will give it to you. And they only asked him for one thing. They said that, Lord Ram, we have served you, but we don't want anything. Lord Ram was so ready that our scriptures tell us that if the monkeys had asked for Ayodhya, he would have given it to them. But he didn't, because they didn't ask. They only asked for one thing. When you come back again to this world, when you start another Leela of yours, we want to come back to serve you again. And Lord Ram said, I will never forget this. And I give you that benediction. Lord Ram came back as Krishna. And in Vrindavan, all the Vanaras, they came back as monkeys. There's only one difference here. There, they all served Lord Ram. But here, Krishna served all of them. Because the Lord wanted to repay his gratitude to them. That's why his feeding of butter looks ordinary to everyone. But those who remember this Leela, they will know it was the Lord's way of reciprocating with his pure devotees. So the monkeys were very satisfied, and Krishna satisfied their desire millions of years ago when he came as Lord Ram, because that was in Treta Yuga, very long time ago. And now, when the monkeys saw Mother Yashoda standing there, as all monkeys do, they scampered away because they knew they were in trouble, leaving only Krishna. But Krishna's back was to the door. When he saw all his friends running away, despite him giving butter, he knew somebody was behind him. So he turns very carefully. He sees Mother Yashoda, that's all right. But he sees the stick, that is not all right. What does he do? He starts running away from her. Now, your children have run away from you many times. And I know that, even though they are fast, we will catch them. But everyone is running after Krishna. The yogis are running after Krishna. Siddhis are running after Krishna. Munis, Rishis, they're all running after. All the demons, they're also running after Krishna. They want to kill Krishna, but they're still running after him. But no one can catch him because Krishna is Swarat. He's independent. He's completely free and no one can control him. And therefore no one can catch him. In fact, Bhagavatam says that Krishna, everyone who tries to run after Krishna, they become muyanti kavayo pihi. They become bewildered because they don't know what Krishna's plan is. Very difficult. But Mother Yashoda was very simple. She was running after Krishna with only one motive in her heart. She wanted to serve him. Why? Out of love for her son, she wanted to discipline him. She did not want any boon from Krishna. She did not want any siddhi from Krishna. She did not want anything from Krishna. That's why our relationship with Krishna must change. We are so used to standing in front of Krishna and saying, exams are here, you have to help me. If you don't help, go to someone else. There are so many other devatas. So it's not only you. We think that way, And in that way, we just move from everyone. But all these great devotees, they are really happy and peaceful because they don't have a relationship with God in this manner. I love you because of what you can give me. Otherwise, I don't love you very much. In this world, 90% of relationships are like that. They form like rivers that were coming down. Bhagavatam said that Krishna has earrings which are in the shape of a shark-shaped earrings. So when he was shaking, because he was very scared, the earrings were also dangling. And because of his bangles and all, when a child is very scared and starts crying, they tend to shake. So Krishna was shaking and all his jewelry was shaking. Mother Yashoda felt very sad. She thought, the poor child, he thinks he's going to be beaten, but I don't. So she put down that stick. Somewhere in that picture there's a stick. It's probably on the floor. She puts it down. And she thought, I will not discipline him that way. But he still needs to be disciplined. So I'll do one thing. This mortar is there. Very convenient. Let's tie him up for a while. Don't know whether your parents have done that to you, but I'm giving them some ideas now. After all, they can use it. Hopefully they won't. But there, Mother Yashoda decided, let's tie him up for a while. He's so naughty, he keeps moving around. So, by now, the gopis, everybody heard about this. And they all came in. And in some pictures you see, they are all smiling with amusement. Mother Yashoda, now I just need to tie him and I still can't tie him. 3 times in the day, Mother Yashoda worked very hard. But all 3 times Krishna reciprocated. And when he saw that his mother was so intent on lovingly tying him up, he decided, let her tie me. And finally the ropes came together. Our acharyas and Bhagavatam tell us the 2 inches represent 2 very important things for the success of your devotional service. The first is the quality of endeavor. In Bhagavatam it is known as granatasa swachestitam. That means one must put one's own endeavor sincerely in bhakti. Bhakti doesn't mean it's a ride in the park. Bhakti means you invest your heart in it. In so many material things for success, you know how much you have to invest. How much must it be then to invest in your Creator? So it's a very important concept that we very often underestimate. Very often the idea is, well, God's in my heart. I don't really have to spend so much time thinking about Him. You try telling that to your wife and see what happens. Every year you tell, I love you very much. Diwali comes, you don't buy her sari. Anytime you don't buy her anything, you come home, she has to do everything. Anytime you don't buy her anything, you come home, she has to do everything. When she looks at you and says, can you help me? Don't worry. In my heart, I love you very much. Eventually, you will get it. Because in any relationship, even in this world, love is defined by what you do and what you sacrifice. It is not defined merely by word jugglery and saying, pronouncing that I love you very much and you love me very much. Where's the action? That's very important. Mother Yashoda acted, she endeavored, and therefore Krishna reciprocated. She gave all her time for Krishna, and Krishna gave her time. And that is why the first inch is endeavor. When you have endeavor, the second inch will then come. And the second inch represents the mercy of Krishna. The mercy of Krishna is attracted to the sincerity of devotee. In Bhagavad Gita, ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajami aham. Very important verse. To the extent that you surrender to Krishna, to that extent Krishna always reciprocates with you. Always. He always does that. But the question is, we have to work and then he will reciprocate. And so these are the 2 inches. Never forget them. If you want to be successful and peaceful in life, in devotional service, we must have these 2. One is in our hands, but the other will be attracted to what we do, because that is in Krishna's hands. And then the rope came together, and Mother Yashoda became very happy because finally Krishna has been disciplined. So she ties him up and she goes to do the rest of her work for Diwali day. But Krishna is not finished, because Krishna decides, now my mother has tied me. She thinks that she owns me. Yes, she does. She's my greatest devotee. But I am also independent. And therefore, I also have my own leelas now. And I will now do what I want. So what does he want to do? He wants to satisfy another devotee. And this is what he does. He starts crawling. He crawls towards the end of his courtyard, the garden, And there are 2 very big trees known as Yamal Arjuna trees. They're very old trees. You see very few of them now in Vrindavan, but they are there. And in his courtyard, these 2 trees were there for thousands of years, even before he was there. But he started crawling between the trees. And as he went, this mortar that was up, it dropped and it started rolling with Krishna. And when he came to the trees, he could get through because he was small size. But the mortar got stuck between the trees. But Krishna is very powerful. I've already quoted to you what Kulashekar Alva told us. He's so powerful, the entire universe is like a speck of dust at his lotus feet. So Krishna just nudged a little bit and the 2 trees came crashing down. And when they came down, 2 beautiful looking devatas, they emerged from the trees. And Krishna looked at them and said, who are you and why are you here? And they both said to him, we were formerly the sons of Kuber. You all know Kuber. He is the treasurer, so to speak, of the devatas. And of course, if your father is treasurer, you basically don't have much to do, right? Because at some point, he will have some access to some money, or he should be well paid. And his 2 sons were Nalakuvera and Manigriva. And they just spent their life in a wasted fashion. They told Krishna that for so many years, we spent our lives very proud of who we were, and we were always inebriated. And one day we were just spotting in the lake, when Narada, the great devotee of the Lord, we came out and greeted him with no clothes on. It is a breach. He looked at us, he became very compassionate. And he said, since you both don't like to, you just become trees. Because trees don't wear clothes anyway. Now these 2 became scared. And they said, Narada, is there any way to modify what you can? My desire finally somehow, and Krishna fulfills. Because the pure devotee never desires anything material. His desires are always spiritual. And therefore Krishna is always ready to give him. So, when Narada Muni prayed that way, these 2 became Yamal Arjuna trees in the courtyard. And they waited for the time when Krishna would perform this pastime. So Krishna actually very nicely told the 2 boys, I have nothing to do with you actually. Because you were just trees. But because my great devotee Narada prayed very hard for your well-being, it has become my duty to fulfill his desire. That is why we take Sangha of sadhus. That's why sadhu Sangha is so important. Because a moment's association with the sadhu can just purify an entire lifetime of material desires. And if we want to create faith in Krishna, then come in the company of sadhus. This is an assembly of sadhu sangha, because we are talking about Krishna. Then we talk about him, we become sadhus. So in the company of sadhus, even a drunkard can become sadhu. But in a company of drunkards, even sadhu can become drunkard. That's why company is so important. When we see our children growing up, the real challenge for us is the company they keep. And as they grow up, we really worry. We may speak good language at home, and suddenly they come home and they say words which we have never said before. And we wonder, where did you pick that up? Then you know the kind of company they're keeping. They come home and say things that you have never heard of. And you know that they're not speaking alone. It's who they're mixing with. That's why sadhu sangha is so important. Keep your children in sadhu sangha and they will be sadhus. But you have to be in sadhu sangha for them to be in sadhu sangha. Otherwise they cannot be there. And therefore, they had the benefit of sadhu sangha. Of who? Of Narada. Just one moment's association. See how powerful. It changed their lives forever. So the end of this Leela is very important. This Leela speaks about two themes. The first theme is relationships. See, relationship between mother and son. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is the great devotee. But because she appeared to him as mother, he appeared to her as son. Krishna is so kind that he will reciprocate based on your love for him and how you perceive him. The second relationship is a relationship between Krishna and all the monkeys. How he never forgot his promise to them and how they never forgot that they wanted to serve him. And the third relationship is the relationship between him and Narada. Narada, thousands of years ago, prayed in one corner and Krishna is fulfilling his wishes in another corner. So Mother Yashoda tied Krishna, Shastras tell us, not with a rope. He tied her with the rope of love. And if you think very deeply, Narada Muni also tied Krishna thousands of years ago with the rope of love also, because he prayed that these people would become devotees. And Krishna became bound by him. Just like he became bound by Mother Yashoda. And just like he became bound by the love of the monkeys as Vanaras. Lamp. Get your children to light it. And when they light it, remember